What's going on, guys? This is Sin. So this is not like an OCG metagame breakdown or anything, but this is a report from a tournament that happened in Thailand, and a lot of really interesting decks managed to top, and I really wanted to cover all of them because we can definitely learn a bunch of new interesting things from these people doing well with some pretty unique decks. So a lot of cards that might also not exist yet. Anyways, before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so it was a 246 player tournament, so that's, that's something. It's not a YCS level tournament, but it's basically a big regionals. I don't think it's considered like a regionals. It's kind of like more glorified than that. But anyways, the guy who managed to win Santanantana something, my bad, I'm not even gonna try it. Venture Synchron. Why, this is so unique. Yo, the deck list is actually so sick. You guys are honestly gonna have a heart attack. Anyways, after that we got Rescue Ace getting second place, which seriously that confused the hell out of me because as you can clearly see from OCG metagame, people doing well and everything, what if it can load. First place was Purrely, and then Mathmech, then Branded, Tier Elements, etc. And now we've got freaking Rescue Ace, Sky Striker, alright, sure, Branded, Purrely, Vanquish Soul back, back in action. Tenyi Sword Soul again. People are really not down to give up on this deck. Well, they still have Protos though, so the deck is actually better in the OCG than it is over here. And then Runic, which got like a very small nerf of like Runic Fountain from 3 to 2, but nobody cares. It literally changes nothing. And yeah, alright, so let's get right into the first deck list. Just by looking at the extra deck and the main deck, I can immediately tell that this deck is really freaking scary. Alright, so first of all, we already know what the Brave tokens, the Brave token engine can do, the adventure, whatever, you get the point, with synchro summoning shenanigans. So you can summon a bunch of really nasty cards here. There's the is that Junk Speeder? The guy that summons like as many Synchron monsters as possible. It's such a scary card, that's crazy. You can spam shooting Quasar and stuff like that in this deck, but not even playing that. Oh my god, if anything, he's actually playing this card right here, which is the, I think that's the Crimson Dragon. Yeah, that's the real one. The Ultimate Zulkin is just like a fake replica. But yeah, the extra deck also has Chaos Ruler, a card that we don't have. And Chaos Ruler is even more insane, I want to say, than it's ever been in the OCG because of this card right here, Revolution Synchron. I'll try to put it on the screen, but this card's insane because when you summon Chaos Ruler, you can use Revolution Synchron from your hand as a synchro material. So it's pretty much like Microcoder, and then you can revive it back from the grave, like pretty much for free, and then its level becomes 1. So you've got 1+8, which means Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, because you're gonna be able to make a level 9, and then you can revive back the Chaos Ruler and synchro for something like Baron de Fleur, because you have like Assault Synchron, for example, that is a level 2 tuner. So a bunch of extenders, a bunch of free special summons, and Chaos Ruler also milling some of the cards here is just disgusting. Like you can mill Water Enchantress, which is really good, Ava, which searches you Herald of Orange Light and Diviner, you can mill Fairy Tale Snow, you can excavate like Magician Souls and then draw 2 cards off of, sending the useless Brave token cards. Man, you have so many options, and the deck is also pretty consistent because tuning searches you whatever you want. The deck should have some 1-card combos if you're willing to pretty much restrict it to like junk, synchro turbo only. I mean, either way, this just looks so freaking amazing. I think the only issue that I might have with this deck is that it looks like it loses pretty hard to hand traps, especially Nibiru. I don't know, like he's playing cross out, but he's barely playing any hand traps. That's the thing. It's only Ash, 1 Maxi, literally only 1, and then 2 Droll, which is very interesting. But yeah, definitely a scary deck. I wouldn't want to face this in a tournament because I would probably not know when to interrupt them correctly. And then Rescue Ace. So I understand this deck a little bit because I've made some combo videos in the past. Well, by combo videos, I mean 1. So I already forgot what it did, but it got some new support, which I think is decent. And basically the concept of the deck is that you summon like a big boss monster and then you can set like 4 Rescue Ace spells and traps directly from your deck to the field, which is insane. So you can get a couple of interruptions off of 1 card, and you can also get a lot of recursion, so you can monster reborn back monsters, recycle back cards from the graveyard to the hand. The deck definitely has everything that you can ask for, so ways to stop your opponent, ways to get your stuff going, some quick effects, some hand traps, I believe. Some of the like Rescue Ace monsters are pretty much basically hand traps, I think. I can use some of their effects, as quick effects, and then of course you can play a lot of utility cards, so 2 main deck Kaijus. This deck list also main deck to Kaiju, so Kaijus are actually getting a lot in popularity, and then 6 hand traps, some more utility cards. I guess Thailand must have like a completely different playstyle than like Japan, China, and stuff like that. We rarely see interesting decks like that do well. And the fact that, you know, the first and second place were two very, very unique decks is just honestly incredible. But yeah, the extra deck and the side deck I'm not gonna go over too, I'm not gonna bother going over them. Pretty much everything is a 3 of, except for this card, and the big boss monsters are like, you know, 2 ofs. Anyway, Sky Striker, finally a deck that I know. Well, I know very well. The thing is, this is completely different from what I'm used to seeing. It's only playing 6 hand shops, which, I mean, 7, sorry. But the interesting thing is that it's not a 40 card deck, it's actually a 46 card deck list. Hold on a second. 46 cards. And it's also playing a lot of board breakers. Triple Dark Ruler, Triple Dark Hole, double Regeki, double Lightning Storm, triple Evenly, triple Tasking with a Herald of the Abyss in the main deck. Otherwise, there's literally no out to Purrely Noir because the engine itself doesn't actually out it. That looks really scary, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really feeling comfortable playing a deck like Sky Striker against Purrely. I don't feel like you can trade really well against them, and because of the fact that, you know, it's always unaffected by everything, you kind of have to rely on non-engine cards, and there's pretty much no way to like dig into them. And Herald of the Abyss also has a flaw because when you use it against Purrely Noir and they have like any Purrely quick play spell, they can chain the Purrely quick play and then summon the dark Purrely Lily, and then they send that to the grave instead because Herald of the Abyss makes your opponent send a monster with the declared type and attribute, but both Purrely Noir and Purrely Lily have the exact same type and attribute. So in other words, it's just gonna take the fall instead, and that's the reason why if you have to rely solely just on this card and nothing else to win, I feel like there's a problem somewhere, and you really can't like bait them to do anything. So you'll eventually run out of gas in your deck and run out of things to do, and you're just going to be drawing like useless cards like hand shops over time, and you're never going to be able to really win against Purrely. So I don't think this deck is really my cup of tea, but nonetheless, it's really cool, and it's also really nice to see that Sky Striker again is doing well, and this deck is better than it's ever been in the OCG as well because they have 3 Kagari and 2 Engage. They also have 3 multi-roll, but still choosing to play only 1, which I find extremely interesting. I think it used to be at 1 for the longest time, and we also had Widow Anchor at one point that was limited, and then it went back to 2, and then back to 3. Now they pretty much have like everything except, of course, Hornet Drones. This card's really dangerous to give them back a 3. Not for Sky Striker, because they couldn't care less, but, you know, for just decks in general, because the last time we had 3 Hornet Drones, with like 3 Engage and everything, was with Sky Striker Orchist, and that was really good. Oh, hold on, did they have 3? No, actually, I don't think so. It might have been Gookie that actually forced Hornet to get limited, because it's a free Warrior Extender with pretty much no drawback, so yeah, obviously a really good card. But yeah, the side deck has a few outs to Purrely Noir, but again, not the best. So Kurikara, Lava Golem, that's about it. So this deck is focused more on trying to stop the Purrely Noir from hitting the field, rather than outing it once it hits the field. Like I said, that's not really my cup of tea, but this guy managed to do better than, you know, the one Purrely player in the top 8. Alright, Branded. So this is one of the few decks where the engine is so incredibly good that as long as you can stop your opponent from, you know, doing the unfair thing that he's trying to do, you should be able to win the game. And a lot of people's side decks are, or rather handshap pattern, is pretty bad against this deck. Like, the only really good handshap against this deck is Ash, because even Droll doesn't really do anything against this. Ironically, because Droll used to be really good against Despia, but that wasn't because it's inherently good against the deck. It's rather because people were playing Allure of Darkness with like triple Mercourier, but people are not doing that anymore. So yeah, 14 fusion monsters with the 1 Despian Lulu with. This card, it has another graveyard effect, so that's the reason why it's there. I think it can summon Guiding Clem or something like that on the end phase. I forgot. Completely forgot, but it's pretty much like the same thing as like Titanic Lad or something. And I guess you can technically synchro summon it if you really want to, but you're not going to be able to use Brand Diffusion that same turn. Yeah, Brand Diffusion, by the way, is just at 1. Brand Opening as well. And then Lubellion is at 1, but I think people would still not be playing 3 even if it were a 3. So that's completely irrelevant. And then 2 Exceedon Core, you can actually afford to play 3 in this deck because it's an OTK deck. I mean, it's not an OTK deck, but it can OTK. Guardian Chimera is really interesting because there's no polymerization, no Frightfur package anymore. So Branded in red is really the only way to summon it. And Dragos Tapelia is pretty much summoned the exact same way, if I recall correctly. So all the generic fusion monsters are no longer being played at like 2 ofs and stuff like that, and there's way less variety. because the Frightful Engine, that's what it allowed you to do. Summon Guardian Chimera every single time. But now, not really. That's just not really option number 1 anymore. Nonetheless, still really good. One thing that I will have to say is that there is another deck that can actually do a lot of kind of branded plays in a way, but without playing branded fusion, and it's utilizing Guiding Quem, I'm pretty sure, but also the Ringo Worm so that you can make Muddy Mud Dragon and then hard make Mirror Jade that way. But I don't know if it's really good. It's just like cute because you still need like a few cards to pull it off, so it's not really worth it. But it doesn't lose to Ash or D-Barrier and stuff like that, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, by the way, 1 cross out with 1 D-Barrier. I don't think I would do that at this point, but at the same time, he is playing triple tactic tasking, so if he does get like Ashed or something, at least he can get like one of the floodgates and survive. Alright, Purrely. This is the kind of build that I don't know if I'm a really big fan anymore, because, I mean, it's not that it's bad, but this is so easy to deck build against that, honestly, I don't think it really catches people off guard anymore. And one critique that I have about Bridge of Salvation package is that people are playing that with the Crystal Beast brick, but they're not playing Secret Village, which is like the best thing about this engine. So if you're not doing that, it's just not really worth it anymore. So that's the reason why I'm not a super big fan. But apart from that, I mean, Joel, Maxi with no Ash, I can really like that because I really don't like Ash this format at all. I think it's a really bad hand trap. I wouldn't be playing the card in like any of my decks. Alright, now we've got Vanquish Soul, which is again a deck that I understand a little bit. I know that it has some nice 1-card combos, that's the thing. And the Link one's just really nasty. Most of your extra deck, you don't even need it that much, so a lot of Ghost Reaper targets. You could actually main deck Ghost Reaper at this point. Look at the amount of Reaper targets. It's ridiculous. So the Super Heavy Samurai Link 1, Baguska, which is, you know, if you want to, you know, Reaper it, you can against, you know, let's say Super Heavy Samurai if you draw them. And then Purrely Noir, of course. Technically, Baron and Zeus are always Zeus targets. So I guess, you know, you can use them for that. You can use it for that, but whatever. And the rest of the deck is not really interesting. This deck is not what I thought it would be. I don't know, like, I'm interested at the fact that people are main decking There Can Only Be One in this deck, like, unanimously. Every list is the same now. Yeah, I was just expecting it to be, like, so much different or just change so much over time, but it really didn't. So, weird, honestly. I don't know if I really like it. I think I would actually play the deck a little differently if it were up to me, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Small World with a Kaiju really reminds me of how Mathmech deals with things. So yeah, that's like actually really nice. Anyways, Tenyi Sword Soul, they have Protos at 1, of course. This card's insane. But the rest is pretty much the exact same as the TCG, so nothing too unique. Oh, the Excite on Night is actually very nice. You rarely see people actually play Xyz monsters in this deck. Instant Fusion for the Fusion monster. I actually do remember when people used to do that. But this deck is not playing that many Tenyi monsters, only 2 Ashuna, 2 Vishuda, and 1 Adara. So way less copies of Monk and stuff like that. So yeah, and only 1 Baxia. Actually, we rarely see that. Most people nowadays, they run 2 Baxias, sometimes 3. I don't think you really need 3 Baxia, but whatever. And then Psychic and Punisher, which is a really nice win condition when you can normal summon like an Ash or Ogre, whatever. So, you know, why not? Or, actually, you can use one of your Tenyis and one of your level 4 tuners. 7 plus 4 is pretty much the same thing as 8 plus 3. That gets you a level 11 monster. And this card is, it's honestly insane, man. Obviously, it loses to the same thing as whatever Purrely Noir loses to, but there are some other outs to it. Like, you can literally crash your monsters and then main phase 2 out it, so that you take damage, you have less life points, and then it is no longer unaffected by card effects. And it's really interesting to see that even though a Pointer of the Red Lotus is at 3, people are only playing 2 copies or 1 copy of it, as we can see here. Yep, because it is a target with tasking, so... Yeah, personally, I think if the card was a 3, I would be playing 3, even if I can search it, because the card's completely insane if you actually draw it with your combo. But I don't know, there might be a reason why people are not really playing 3-ofs, especially in the OCG. Like, that's the pattern that I've always, you know, studied coming from them. Like, their side decks almost never have 3-ofs. It's always 1-ofs and 2-ofs, whereas in the TCG... you get bullied for not playing like 5 3-ofs, right? Like, trust me, like, this continues. It's always the same pattern. Almost no 3-ofs. Xyz on Core here, the only exception. And then here, literally 0 3-ofs. Yeah, again, every single time, it's always the same thing. This one's the only one that didn't want to show his side deck. But yeah, I think this should be the final deck list, Runic. Not super fun or interesting. just a bunch of floodgates, main deck Amano Iwato, sphere mode, and oh my god, this is so filthy. Oh, this honestly just makes me want to vomit. I don't even want to look at this anymore. But yeah, just guys, let me know what you think about all these decks. Do you think that, you know, Synchron could actually potentially be the next sleeper deck? Let's not say, you know, the next best deck, because definitely not. I know for a fact that Assault Synchron is insane. People are playing it in like real tier 1 decks that were doing really well. This is one of the only guys probably the only guy I've ever seen do really well with an actual dedicated Synchron deck. But yeah, the Revolution Synchron is also, you know, nothing new. It's always been doing really well, so this also doesn't shock me, but the deck itself definitely does shock me. So yeah, if you think that this might actually be the next good strategy to play to catch people off guard, I want to hear your thoughts. Same thing with Rescue Ace. Sky Striker, I don't think so, unless we get like 3 engage. And of course, we maintain 3 Kigari. That would be insane, but otherwise, not really worth it. 1 engage, 3 Kigari is definitely not enough for Sky Striker. At the current moment, Sky Striker is not worth playing in the TCG. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.